So thank you, ladies, for joining. As we just started, we'll give it a few minutes for people to hop on. Please feel free to share while we're excitedly waiting.
Perfect. I'm turning up my volume.
Okay, good.
So I can hear you guys. I just turned on my my Instagram on my little Dumont Andy account. So hi guys.
Lovely.
Oh, I should do that too.
All right, like I said, I just want to give a few minutes. I know we said 7 o'clock, so it's 7:01. But I'm really excited. Our first live feed of women engineers. Woohoo!
Yeah, I was telling people at work right before I left. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do an interview." At first, they were like, "Not with a different company, right?" Like, no. It's and I was like, "Well, it's Jess and Brianne, and I don't think there's very many female engineering bloggers. So, like, we're the community." I can think of Mel.
For sure.
But I don't know if I have anybody else's email address. So.
All right, so it's 7:02. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining. For those who are logging on after the fact, thanks for joining and watching. My name is Brianne C. Martin, aka the People Engineer, mechanical engineer focused on breaking the mold. And today I have Jess from STEMinine, the YouTube channel featuring women in STEM, particularly women in engineering, and the wonderful Andy from the Watermark blog. So ladies, Jess, if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about you, what you're up to, and what you're doing nowadays.
Thanks, Brianne. Hey, everyone. So like she said, I'm Jess. I'm from Canada, and I study abroad right now in Zurich, Switzerland. What I'm studying is mechanical engineering. I'm doing my master's. I also did mechanical and aeronautical engineering for my bachelor's at McGill University in Canada. That's in Montreal. And so I'm a mechanical engineer, but I specialize in combustion. And that's for energy, for propulsion, and specifically what I do, maybe we could talk about this later because we love to nerd out. It's something called thermoacoustic coupling. So I can get into that later. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Combustion engineering in Switzerland, finishing up my master's. And I also run STEMinine with some of my friends, Vika and Elizabeth. It's a podcast, a YouTube channel, etc. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Really excited to nerd out with you in a whole minute. Andy, would you please give yourself an intro?
Hi, I'm Andy. I run the Instagram Dumont Andy, which is all just like my really nerdy engineering pictures of things I'm doing for work. I work at a big civil engineering company as a water resource engineer, doing like a little bit of technical stuff and a little bit of program management and sometimes just like running around like crazy. So yeah, I share it on my Instagram account, and occasionally I feel inspired and I write on my blog, which is thewatermarkblog.com, but I'm trying to move it over to andromedaDumont.com, but it's not going so well right now. So yeah, that's what I do.
Wonderful. So as you all know, obviously, like I follow you guys. I love your content. So excited. Really excited to have you guys featured today. So essentially, again, like, what is it like to be a woman engineer, you know, and what, I guess, essentially even how we got to where we are. And again, this kind of crazy thing that we're doing, taking on the world, being one of the very few female engineers. So I kind of had a few questions, if you all don't mind, and it doesn't matter whoever goes first. But essentially, why did you choose the major that you chose?
Yeah, so I'll go first. I got into engineering through a robotics club at my high school, and my whole family is all engineers. My brother, my dad. So I got into engineering. I thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer for a while. So props to you, Jess, for sticking through it. I was like, there's no women here. I have to get out fast. And so I went over to geological engineering and got into like the groundwater world and doing remediation and environmental stuff. And then after that, went back to grad school for my water resources degree in the civil department so that I could do more like water supply wells and production. And I do ASR, which is storing drinking water underground, and lots of just like hydraulics and pumps and being able to take your clean drinking water and push it out to the people. So lots of municipalities. But yeah, that was sort of my long transition into what I do now.
Oh, that's really exciting. Go ahead, Ms. Jess.
So mechanical engineering, it was just kind of like I was good at math and I was good at physics, and I didn't like biology or chemistry, and I liked gym and I liked art, and I was like, well, I can't be an artist, even though now my sister's an artist and she actually makes money and I'm still in school. So I was like, okay, I can't be an artist, trying to still figure out the sports thing. But then I always thought rocket science was cool, and I thought it was out of my reach, but I just went for it anyway. And yeah, now I'm in mechanical engineering, and it's pretty great. I get to blow stuff up.
You still do the sports thing too, right? You do lots of semi-pro?
Yeah, I call it semi-pro because no one pays me, but I still compete at like the top level.
So awesome.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Well, it's really cool that you're still doing it. I mean, even though you're getting your master's. So what is your master's actually focused on?
So my master, how specific are we going to go?
Just however specific you want to go.
I don't know.
I want to hear about the combustion stuff. Sorry.
So I'm, okay. So I do research. So yeah, okay. So I'm a combustion engineer, and my lab focuses on like thermoacoustics, which is basically when you have like, if you try to burn less fuel in a gas turbine engine, you start getting vibrations. And the reason you get vibrations is because like when you have less fuel, you end up having like the fuel doesn't mix entirely. So when you burn the fuel, you have like different heat pockets because the fuel doesn't mix entirely. And the more fuel you have, the higher temperature you burn. With me so far? Okay. Anyway, you burn at different temperatures when you don't have enough fuel. And then we know from the ideal gas law that therefore you have different pressure, like if you have different temperature oscillations, you have different pressure oscillations, and the pressure oscillations cause vibrations. And if you have a certain geometry of the burner, it causes like a feedback loop. So like when you're pushing a swing, like someone on a swing, or when you have like a bridge and it has like a resonant frequency with the wind. And if it's like at a certain frequency, it'll start to swing and break. So that's like what happens with the engine. So if you have like a positive feedback between the pressure oscillations and the shape of the geometry of the burner, it will just oscillate until all the components crack. So companies obviously don't want that to happen, but they also want to burn less fuel. So that's what I'm doing. I do numerical modeling, and I model the fire and the fuel and everything inside the engine so that companies don't just start building the engine and then it explodes. And they're like, guess we have to restart.
No, that's really cool. It's exciting. It seems like we get her back really quick. But no, so that's really cool because even like whenever I chose mechanical engineering, it was because I was very much a hands-on learner, and for whatever reason, obsessed with gears and sprockets. Again, the fact that you could turn something and there was a reaction, and just to be able to follow that, and just to be able to explain the world around me. I would like look at a stool and be like, again, obviously you don't cut out a big old, chunk of a tree and then just has the legs and then there's missing pieces, there's screws, and even though they're hidden, and again, all this just like, how does that work? How does it put together? So it's really cool, again, that you both into it. Andy, would you tell us why you chose to go and get your master's?
So I have always really liked school. So part of it was I just like wasn't quite done, and I liked the forum of going in and sitting through lectures and writing notes and studying it and getting like really good at a topic, and the next semester not remembering it at all. But like for one semester you're super good at a topic. And so I wasn't quite done with school yet. And then I had this really awesome environmental engineering job. And I'm sure I'm breaking up on this Facebook feed. My hotel internet is not very good. But so I was like fixing borders on Excel spreadsheets, and I was out in the field and in the office, and it was really awesome and really challenging right then, but I knew there was going to be some sort of plateau. So I'd stop being challenged after a while, and I wanted to kind of go into a different career path without being pigeonholed. And so getting a master's was a way to do that. And I had always played with the idea of getting my PhD, and so it's sort of like I knew I liked consulting, and I kind of wanted my PhD, and so I was like, oh, I'll go master's, and then see at the end of my master's if I still want to go the PhD route or not. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
but it was a really good choice for me at the time, which it was a very hard decision, and it was a super hard decision deciding not to do my PhD, but it turned out to open all these paths in consulting that I really enjoy doing. So.
Well, no, that's good to hear. You're sharing again. It's so many kind of altering ideas of, you know, once you graduate, you have to go straight into industry, and we all think, oh my gosh, we have student loans to pay off. Like you said, if you love something or you find your passion, you said once you get more specialized classes, it's definitely, again, like it gets a little bit more exciting. So I'm really excited again to talk to two women who, you know, pursued and finished, you know, her master's, and then Jess, who's, you know, on the other side of the world doing it. So really cool, really exciting. Again, I could just like talk about just how cool it is that you guys continue to go to grad school for it. But essentially, like, what did you guys, or what did you ladies hope to achieve with actually going into that specific major? Was there a purpose? Was it something you were a child and you were just like obsessed with? Or I guess what kind of made you wanted to solve these specific types of problems?
Should I go? You're drinking tea. Okay, I'll go.
Sure.
So it started off with, so I'm a whitewater kayaker. And so a big thing I would say is, like working with renewable energy. I always toyed with the idea of becoming, like, going into environment or like environmental science or something like that. But I wanted to be more at the core of the problem. I actually knew people that were studying environmental science, and it seemed like it was a lot of maybe like documenting or seeing the effects on the atmosphere, or like sort of the effects, but it wasn't really targeting the root of the problem, which is, for example, combustion or like just energy efficiency in general. So I think like through kayaking is what really molded like my desire to really pursue it at a level that it could like really make a difference.
Mm-hmm. You had sort of like what you do now. I don't know that I felt like I would be where I am, and I was like, there wasn't this goal of like water engineer, consultant, program manager that I wanted to go to. It was just different doors opened up, and I walked through them, and that's where I ended up. And geeky enough about like engineering and trying to learn new things, and like always looking for challenges. That turns out, I think anywhere I would have gone, I probably would have enjoyed it just as much.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing. That's really exciting. Again, I could just like nerd out and all excited into all the details. But essentially, I wanted to. Oh yeah, so thanks. I was actually going to say just quickly, anyone watching live, feel free to like hop in the comments and let us know if you have any particular questions, if there's anything you'd like to know about Andy or Jess, and anything particular they've said thus far, or you know, then that we haven't even touched yet. So by all means, it's live right of us. So let us know if there's anything again that you're looking to get, or information, resources. By all means. But yeah, most definitely, I chose mechanical engineering because I just felt like it was so broad, and I really enjoy learning. So kind of like to Andy's point, I just really enjoyed like the, you know, throwing in and being challenged. The math and science stuff was actually the only stuff that challenged me. I could write a paper in my sleep, and I was just, you know, the kind of talkative person. I could make up a story in no time, or I just found history so enticing and exciting that again, it's nothing really that I struggled with. Other than like math was just really difficult for me once I got to like middle school. You know, you take like algebra, and the fact that there was like conceptual stuff that I couldn't see or touch like was really so frustrating, but amazing to me because I couldn't like physically, tangibly explain it. And so that, again, that just kind of like blew my mind. So whenever we talk about, heat transfer, thermodynamics, or fluid mechanics, I mean, it's just like all these equations where it's just kind of like, well, how exactly does that go if you can't like physically hold it or touch it or see it? And again, to make sense of the world through equations was just fascinating to me. And again, I'll just nerd out and my face is going to hurt from smiling so much after this. But yeah, and so mechanical being so broad, again, I was just like, okay, I could go into so many different avenues, and actually found myself in manufacturing, which again goes back to the gears and sprockets and how things are put together. So when I went into manufacturing, I really wanted to go into automotive, which I am now. But again, I kind of took a roundabout way, kind of like you were saying, Andy, it's just doors are opening and I was like, I'm open for it. Let's do it. So I'm really excited to be in automotive now, but it's really cool that I've been able to work for, the defense, working on helicopter repairs for the Army and doing international aerospace traveling and walking aircrafts. So again, it's limitless engineering degree. So I guess from that part, have you two ever had an experience, whether going to school or with your engineering degree, that you kind of didn't expect to ever happen or couldn't have happened without it?
I mean, I definitely don't think I would have been able to move to Switzerland if I wasn't studying, like if I wasn't in the exact position I would be now. So I don't know if it's the same as like maybe if I was in a different engineering, but I think it's just like, yeah, the series of circumstances, but definitely the fact that like I happened to stumble upon my passion and it's something that I was good at is like what led me to be able to study in Switzerland and go hiking on the weekends and go kayaking and skiing in the Alps. Imagine surfing in the Alps. Yeah. But I think there's no way I would have been able to make it here if it wasn't for engineering.
Yeah, I guess sort of the same. Like, so where I've gotten like been able to travel and be full and have my own place with my cat, and it's all because I found this path of engineering, and then I could go and I could get my master's degree and get it basically because I was in engineering. Engineering is really good at teachers, assistant positions, or research positions, and helping through their master's degree. And so I came out of that that I didn't have a whole lot of debt and that I could just go and take a job wherever. And so I ended up in Austin, which is, I don't know that I would job with all the people coming to Austin every day. They say something like 100 people move there a day, and I'm not quite sure if that's true, but a lot of people move there, and I don't know if I would have ended up there if I didn't go through engineering. And I certainly would be like temporarily living in working on this project, and I'm like watching down Poydras Street. And I've been here for like 6 months, and it's been awesome. And it's an opportunity that I think only being in the consulting and the fast-paced career that I'm in now is.
That's so cool. So you're like downtown New Orleans right now.
Yeah, I'm like in the central business district. I'm like allup.com, like, yo, what's going on, guys? I'll meet you in the French Quarter if you want.
Yeah, I see all your live feeds all the time. I'm like, oh, it's so horrible to be Andy.
Yeah, so terrible traveling around.
Cool. So we first got our first comment in. Alex, what kind of mentors did you have along your journey through engineering? Pros and cons.
Thanks, Alex, for the question. That's awesome. I'd forgotten that people could put in their comments and that we could see them, which is really cool. But I guess for mentors for me, I've had mentors mostly through my research. So as an undergrad, I had senior design-ish classes, and I did research in Guatemala. And the professor who ran those classes was he basically did groundwater engineering, and that's what got me into the groundwater sort of world, and he ended up doing a lot of my recommendations for jobs and for grad school, and continues to get emails from me about it. And then of course my master's professor, Dr. Miller, she was actually a student of the professor I worked with at my undergrad, which is how I got connected in. And she's been a really awesome mentor, been able to help find funding and to work with me on my thesis and getting it put through. And so yeah, those were people that just, they were professors, and they were really awesome at helping to connect their students into career paths. And then of course I've got mentors, and the new buzzword I think is sponsors. So I've got people that help teach me things and help give me perspective at work, and I consider them my mentors that I work with that are huge advocates for me up to people. And sometimes I don't know what I've done to deserve it, but it's really awesome that I've got this set of people that can be mentors and people that can be sponsors, and I feel comfortable with going and saying, hey, breaks our ethics policy, can you walk me through it? Or, hey, I really want to get right here in my career, can you help me figure out what sort of jobs or what sort of projects to take, or, you know, how I connect myself to other project managers to get more technical work. And all through my studies and my work, and I haven't had a whole lot of like outside people. I take myself into my work so much, that's what I do, just like around the clock. So yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. We just got our second question, so I guess we can take this one. What is the key characteristic, skill, behavior that has made you successful in your career, educational or professional? Thank you for that, Axel.
So should I take this one? Was
sure.
It like,
I mean, sure. Or even jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you can each have, like, I'm sure you guys have something also to add to this, but from my perspective, I think like the reason I've been able to get to where I am and like do well in work and do like, you know, publish well or whatever and get good grades, which like led to me to be where I am here now. I think it's like two things: discipline, and the other thing is like people, there's like this weird idea right now that people like, you know, like the Steve Jobs idea where people are like, oh, like he's hated, but like he's like, you know, like weird, but like he's such a good leader. Like right now, I find that people are like even shying away from that. Like at all companies, they just want to work with, like they want you to work well with other people. Like that's the main thing. They don't want any drama. Like they want everyone to get along. And I think that really like really getting along with people and being able to collaborate with people and like solve problems together without creating problems is like one key characteristic that I've come across. And the other one is like discipline. Like I said, like I was able to schedule days off because I said by Friday at 4, I'm going to be done all of this stuff. And then I'm going to take Friday night off, and then I'm going to start again on Saturday. You know what I mean? So it's just like the hardest thing I find is the discipline. But I think that's really what helped me.
Yeah, I'll second that. Coming from the industry, being able to work with people, because it's not like we like sit in our little cubes and do math problems all day long. Like I have to go out and I have to talk to my clients and I have to talk to my teams and get technical experts on, or people that can help me with CAD or know the modeling program, and having some sort of emotional intelligence where you can be like, okay, this person is at the end of their rope, but it's because they've got all these other projects lined up. My project's not priority. Maybe I tell them that I don't need it for a couple weeks, and then I have that conversation with my client that it'll be a couple weeks later. So like just knowing how to read people and read rooms, and be able to, even if you're not like perfectly in sync and similar to everybody, which you're never going to be, then you still know how to make everybody, or I guess lead everybody to like becoming a strong, efficient team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Jess is saying that you guys can hear the sirens in the background. I was like, are you on some sort of news website? How do you know this? Oh, I forgot. You can probably hear right down in Loyola.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But no, and so definitely again, in the professional world for me, I think my biggest thing, even with school too, I mean, like I openly talk about how school is for me, and about how, I have to retake classes, and that's like totally normal of engineers. But I think again, like an overall key characteristic, skill or behavior essentially is for me just like having a positive attitude, having a positive outlook. And so even if it was, I'm just going to register one more time and I'm going to get it this time. I mean, like I could have easily had quit or said, thrown in the towel. Like this just isn't for me. And the reality is like, that's not how way life is. That's not how, classes work. That's not, again, just how anything challenging in life is in general. And so just having the persistence and choosing to, see a kind of, again, the silver lining, if you will, and trying to find positive in anything. And so most of the time, my attitude is the biggest thing. Yes, I'm usually the only Hispanic in the room. Yes, I'm usually the only female, or even both. And so whenever it comes down to, like, why should I get the project, or why am I the one being interviewed, for a top engineering position? And it comes down to my attitude. I may not have all the answers, but the fact that I'm willing to go look for them, the fact that I am willing to work on a team, the fact that I am willing to ask others for help, and or like to your point, Andy is talking about, just emotional intelligence, is I'm willing to be able to understand how other people work and not treat them the way I want to be treated, but how they want to be treated, to be able to make sure that they feel important and respected. And then in turn, again, I become like a critical resource to solving the problems had I not been able to do that by myself. So again, I just think being able to, one, again, have positive outlook and insights, continue, like refusing to quit, being very resilient, makes me a force to be reckoned with, because it's almost impossible for me to ever fail, because I'll just never quit. So I may not hit my deadline, or it may take twice or three times longer than expected. But again, like I only quit, or I can only fail if I decide to stop showing up. So that's been one like major in all of, I just want to say success, or even through my career, education, because I just have a fight within me that just refuses to give up.
I agree. I think your attitude is everything. And really, if it's genuine, like even employers or any interview you have, it's so like you can feel it from the person, and it really comes through. So I think like if you have a good attitude, you can't fake your passion or fake your willingness to get the job done.
Right, and people want to be around other people that are excited to be there and happy to be there. So it really speaks to me that like every time somebody is like, oh, what skills are really good to help you in engineering, everyone always responds with like what they call the soft skills, like their personal skills or their attitude. And nobody's ever like, I was really good at math, and that's what we sell is. In science, you can be an engineer, but it takes like more of a well-rounded person, and I think we all have that capability. We just got to work towards it. And also, so I'm live feeding on my Instagram right now as well, and one of my I think he's an aerospace engineer, aeronautical engineer. Correct me if I'm wrong. He says presentation skills are key in the industry. For me, failing, that just keeps me going, and I can second that as well. Presentation skills and just like hating to fail. Somebody told me today, you're really bad at being bad at things. You just stress out way too much to like be really good at everything.
Yeah. So, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so just again, a friendly reminder for everyone watching, please feel free to ask any comments, anything, regardless, drop it in the comment section here. Again, we can broadcast it, we'll answer it for any three of us, or even maybe something that we don't know, something outside of our scope or specialty. I'll kind of hop on and ask. So I guess, Andy, with your current role as a water resource engineer, what exactly does a day in the life of Andy mean? What does that look like?
So that's a hard question for me. I do so many different things, and I'm on a dozen projects at any time. Like, So right now I'm in New Orleans, and I've been working on this project for about 6 months, and it's with it's not with the city, it's with the utility, Sewage and Water Board. And so basically New Orleans is in a bowl, it's underwater. And so every time it rains, they have to pump all of the rain out of the city and over the levees into Lake Pontchartrain. So they have these huge pumps that they push 1,100 CFS. They have pumps that run just like around the clock, and these are their constant duty pumps. And then they have the really whenever. I looked up the GPM, and it was something like 50,000 GPM per pump. That's like enormous. It's basically, Jess, you do aeronautical stuff. It's if you take like an airplane engine and you like that impeller is in a pump. That's what's running, like keeping the city dry.
Okay.
They have these huge turbines from the early 1900s that the rumor is Thomas Edison signed off on them, but we've gone down into like the records and like pulled out all the old crusty drawings, and I can't find Thomas Edison's signature. So I don't know if it's just a rumor, or if he just like refused to sign anything he did. So like my job is sort of managing the construction that's going on. So we're doing a lot of pump repairs. They're putting in these huge electromotive diesel generators. They just put in 5, and they've got 2 other like black start gens. And to hook them up to the system and the feeders to be able to get out to all of the different pump stations in the different parts of the city, so they can dry the city there. There's just a constant array of projects, and like coordinating with contractors and coming up with schedules. And we're doing a power alternative study right now to try to figure out how to convert their 25 hertz system to a 60 hertz system at one of the stations that the mayor requested. So it's this big design project, and looking at the power and conversion and what's feasible and what's not feasible and how much does it cost. And oh, by the way, it's going to go to a ballot. So we had to make sure that we got like all our I's dotted and our T's crossed, so that people can go and like vote on the 2 options that we came up with. So for me, it's just like a lot of meetings and taking notes and pushing out like a monthly invoice with here's what we did, please pay us. And also just like trying to coordinate my team. Some of that is just like asking them like, how are you doing today? Like, you have been, I want to make sure you're getting enough sleep and your family. And I just bought a bunch of jackets for our team, just because they're doing an awesome job. And so it's just a little bit of everything. And that's just my one project. I have all these other projects, like we're rehabilitating a dam in Oklahoma, and I'm working on a couple projects in Austin that's like changing out wastewater valves and pumps and things at one of the wastewater plants. So it just depends who puts a meeting on my schedule that day and what I'm doing that day.
That's so fun that because you're a consultant, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Is that it? So yeah, everything, it's like a different project at least every month, right? That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that and sometimes fun. It's like multiple projects a day. Like I flew into Canada to go on like a little skiing vacation, and I was like, it was so cold because I'm not a Canadian like you, Jess. I would like do one ski run and then go into the lodge and like log on, and I was doing a little risk and compliance thing for a bunch of water wells that's owned by a railroad company, and they want to know like, do we have certified operators? Do we have to sample them on a daily basis or a monthly basis or at all ever? And so I was like just logging on and doing that, and then I'd go out and I ski again. I come back.
Oh, good life. So, good life.
Yeah, it's flexible, which I really love.
What's on your project you have for the day, but I just hear so many students pursuing engineering, and they're just like, oh, what do you do with a mechanical engineering degree? Or what do you do with a civil engineering degree? And so little to like the mechanical engineering that I do in my everyday job. Yes, and the ideas and the concepts are there, but essentially it's just more so of me like solving and finding a resource that, you know, people never knew that they had. So to me, it's just any type of engineering is just essentially problem solving, critical thinking, being data driven. And so by all means, jobs or I want to say like in-depth technical engineering roles that you couldn't really be more versatile. But at the end of the day, again, if you know how to follow the process and again, you're just aware of your surroundings, people, skills, you could essentially kind of go from one discipline to another, again, just having the basics of how to understand data and read it. I mean, do you ladies agree? Have y'all kind of experienced that something similar?
Do you want to?
Oh, yeah. So it's the same for me. Like, I like, even with having a bunch of different projects, the skills you need for each one are the same around the board. Some of what we had talked about earlier. So yeah, I tend to gravitate towards things that I know I'm strong at, or things that I don't know if I'm strong doing that, and I guess I'll find out.
I forgot the question. Sorry, I was distracted because someone was banging on this wall, and what was it?
Oh, essentially, again, just any versatility with engineering that you've been able to notice, whether it be you personally or other engineers or friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, I find so I like pretty much have done the same thing like in combustion, but I get to do both experimental and numerical work, and they're completely different and really fun. And I find the versatility of that and like being able to show, like my employer just hired me for a job because they love my numerical work, but they also wanted someone with like a bit of experimental experience. And you like, it's just fun to be able to do both of them because they're completely different. Yeah.
So Jess, we had a question for you. Any tips for getting a job in Switzerland or in Europe? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. Getting a job. Is Axel American or Canadian or European? That would be helpful. But basically, for anyone outside of Switzerland, okay, it's really difficult if you're not already in the country. So like basically what Switzerland says is that we can't hire anyone unless, like, this is what the immigration guideline says. It says if you can't find, you have to find someone Swiss for the job. And if you absolutely can't, he's American. Okay. And if you absolutely can't find someone Swiss for the job, then you have to find someone European. And then if you can't find anyone in all of Europe for the job, then you can hire a North American or like a Canadian. So what it comes down to is that like you have to, it's just like who you know. So that's why the job that I got now, it's a year internship, but I got it because my professor had contacts at the company. So I would say like you have to know someone, or you have to, like, for example, there's a Siemens in Switzerland. So if you can get hired like at another Siemens, or if you can get hired at Google, and then they have an office in Switzerland. But then other than that, it's either like, it's like moving to Switzerland, which you can't do without a work visa. It's easier in Europe. Just like, let's just take Switzerland out of the equation because it's pretty like impossible. But in the rest of Europe, yeah, I would say if it's easier to move there on like a student visa or on an internship, and then once you're there, like meeting people, talking to people, networking, that is the main thing. It's like who you know, because the visa thing is really the hardest part.
Yeah, and even like the statistics, I think it's like 3 out of 4 people get their job just because of they knew someone. So like 75% of people get jobs because of who they knew, not because they had the skills necessary or submitted their application online.
Yeah, I believe it. I honestly, I feel like when I submit something online, it just like, there's like a little trash can that the application goes into. Yeah, I don't think it's, I have had no success with online application. I mean, I've had one internship in the past, but that's because they absolutely just took online applications. Yeah. But other than that, I think it's just voodoo magic. I think it's online applications are just voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's how I got my job too. And so I tell everybody, like, I applied to my company so many times online, and it wasn't until somebody within the company was like, hey, let me put in your resume for this position, that I actually got a job with my company. But it's the same. I think you were talking about Europe. I was trying to figure out for a long time how to, and I still am, how to get to Europe through my work, having already worked there. And I believe the laws are the same in the UK, so they have to. There has to be, nobody else has to be so specialized that you are the only person that they can send before they'll, and it could just be my company wanting to pay all of your like expat taxes, but what they say is that like they can't get you a visa unless it's such a specialized job. Which is a bummer, because I really want to go live in like Spain or something.
Yeah,
like, but we have. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, no, I was there for a week, and yeah, I'm like in love. Like, I have to live there now.
Yeah, but like for Spain, for example, like if you knew someone, and even if it's not a specialized position, they could be like, you know, in the visa application, like, yeah, we need this girl. Like, we need her. She's going to be an asset, and there's no one like her in all of Europe. And then you're going to be like, oh, it's true. But like, that's the thing. You just need to network. Like someone just commented, network, and that's really what it is.
Yeah, no, it's really huge. And I just feel like so many engineers already feel like we're socially awkward, or we are not presentable. It's funny because I'll personally tell people, I don't know if y'all have your own story, but I like have to practice, right? Like you were saying, Andy, like I just can't stand to not be good at something, or at least be like, I can't stand to be subpar. Like at least just let me be average at it, so I don't embarrass myself. So even that, like I would just go practice talking to people, like at Starbucks, or if I'm in line at Walmart, like buying socks, I would just be like, hey, so happy Friday. Or you mean like just get that awkwardness out with a stranger who's like never going to see me again, versus go to a networking event and then just like totally blow it. And like, that was my opportunity to get an internship or my next position, or, you know, I don't know. Did any of you ever like practice or like have these like mind tricks to just get over it and start networking or learn how to network?
So, did you want to go first? What?
Oh, I was going to say, I normally just like hide in the corner with a dartboard over my head and hope not to have to network. But I do go to a lot of meetups, and there are always people that are like looking for jobs or just trying to get connected in. And I see that that's how they do it. But yeah, I normally don't get any sleep the night before, and I just come in looking like a zombie with a lot of espresso. And that's how I show up to career fairs.
Amazing.
Jess, you?
Yeah, so I actually did a lot of public speaking as a kid. It's like a really weird hobby. But I did like quite a bit public speaking at my French school. I don't know, maybe it was to get us to practice French. But the main thing that I did, it wasn't practice talking to people. It was like controlling my fear, because I don't know if you guys get petrified, but like sometimes it's petrifying to like, for example, I had to just go talk to my professor, like a professor that I work with every single day currently. And I was like, I have to ask him for a PhD position. I have to ask him. And it's so scary. I was like pacing outside of his door and like, why is it scary? And it's the same thing in networking events. It's like coming up to or it's like the same thing as like talking to someone at a bar. You know what I mean? Like it's scary and I don't know why. And so I feel like I've been slowly training myself throughout my life to like suppress these feelings of fear and instead be like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? The best is that I get this PhD position, which it worked. I was like, you need to give this to me. And he said no. And then he said yes. So like, that's the thing. Like the best, like you have 0% chance, like mathematically, it makes sense. Like you 0% if you don't ask, and there's a chance if you ask. So why not take the chance? But that's the scariest thing. So it's like, for me, it's like always asking for what I want. That's how I've been training myself.
Oh, absolutely. And so even that, I mean, like adding on another layer, so many women don't feel like, again, we're either worthy. I think like the statistics again are like, if a woman doesn't have like 8 out of 10, objectives or job description, like bullets, like she won't apply. But for a guy, he'll just have 2 and be like, oh, I got this. And so even like you're saying, is just like having the fortitude or like the self-respect, like the self-esteem to be like, no, I got this. I deserve it. I'm going to go ask for it. We always just feel like imposter syndrome, or they're going to find out I'm not smart enough, or they're going to find out what I don't know. And it's just funny because, again, we've all been there. But like you're saying, to that point is sometimes you just got to like push yourself outside your comfort zone because, again, you never know the percentage that's waiting for you versus a 0 that you're just sitting on your butt not doing anything. So, yeah, I love that you like brought that up because that's exactly me, too. I actually personally, too, have been singing on stage since I was 3. So I don't particularly have like stage fear. And I just really enjoy, I like vibe off of people's vibes. So if they're smiling and dancing and having a good time, like now that just gets me more energized and more excited. But it is totally different when I'm speaking. And so even that, if it's like a one-on-one conversation, now you're my only audience. I can't feed off of anybody else. So if you're not vibing with me or I'm starting to get, negative reads, it's kind of like, oh, crap. Like, how do I fix it? What do I do? Like, tell a funny joke. And it's definitely a whole nother realm, if you will. But I don't know, were any of you ladies in a organization or in a group, anything that kind of helped cultivate the sisterhood or networking?
I actually wasn't. We actually had like a women in engineering group at our university in McGill. Like, it's called POW, Promoting Opportunities for Women in Engineering. And I wasn't part of it. And I don't know why. And now I'm like, that would have been really fun. But there was that group. But mainly I had like a few other girls in my program. And like the first day it was like, be my friend. Like, you're mine. You're my friend now. And that helped.
Yeah, I guess so. We had most of our groups. So I went to an all engineering school, or mostly all engineering school, and so there weren't very much of us women at all. So we tend to flock together, and it's mostly so that we can have like some sort of barrier at parties where so that we don't have to talk to guys that we don't want to. No, but in honest, like we had Society of Women Engineers. There's a huge, I guess the majority of the people who do environmental engineering or geological engineering tend to be women. And so there was also, I was pretty active in like trying to get engaged on campus and writing letters to our little newspaper about some of the women things happening on campus. And so I think just us being millennials and being really well connected online helped to foster that social tribeness of like us being able to stick it through together.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Even that, I mean, I essentially found both of you ladies by like women in STEM or women in engineering. And even that,
right?
Again, like, I know it's just so cool because I've always just, again, kind of like felt alone, or I was going at this by myself. And even though I joined ASME, this, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, I think there's like 2 other girls. And one of them was a senior when I was a freshman, and the other was like a junior. And so it was just really like difficult because I could kind of relate to them, but I had never really had too many girlfriends either because I was a super tomboy. And then again, it just became like this weird thing. So then, once I was in college and I could literally, look up Twitter hashtags or Instagram, it was just like, oh my gosh, like here are all my people. And so now that I'm like a professional, I have, again, friends all over the world doing all really cool, fun stuff, but just following a hashtag again, women in STEM or just STEM or even engineering. I like learn about all kinds of different stuff, even just through Instagram feeds, just like you ladies sharing your daily life and what you're doing. So again, by all means, like just researching a hashtag makes like a huge difference. And it's funny because again, so many people are online or they're checking, photo of the day or quote of the day. But if you were just to look up something that you could actually learn or apply or even network, again, it's like something so simple and easy right in front of you. So I'm really grateful again, that 1, to have found you both just online, and then 2, to be able to bring you both in and help cultivate again, like the STEM creatives, that STEM media does. And so many of us just sharing our own stories. So again, I was just really interested. So thank you both for sharing about the organization side, because again, I felt like I was at it all by myself. And then all of a sudden, my super senior year, I found, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and it just kind of started snowballing from there. And I'm like, oh, you mean there's other ones like out there like me? So, yeah, it's definitely good to, like you said, not feel like you're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that, like, I can't believe, like, people had to do life without the internet. And
what do they do without Reddit?
I know. Like,
my biggest thing is, like, calculators, slide rules. No thanks.
No, like, and I can't believe how many more women are in engineering than I thought. Like, there are, especially now in Switzerland, it's like way less women. So seeing, like, hashtag women in science, women in engineering, women blah blah blah, it's great. Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm. I like the hashtag as like an engineer.
Yeah, I like that.
Same. So again, I'll just a quick reminder, we're wrapping it up, probably have a few more minutes here, but if there's any, again, last minute questions, I know we'll probably have people going in and out. Feel free to, again, pop them in the comments before we hop off. I guess, ladies, is there anything in particular that you ladies are looking forward to within the next few years? Do y'all have career goals? We're just going to kind of see where life takes you.
Yeah, I'd like to, well, first and foremost, like, get organized. Like, I am the worst with answering emails and like paying bills on time. That's not a STEM career goal, but I feel like it's time. Like, I'm an adult. It's time to figure out my finances. But in terms of like career goals, now that I'm starting like my first real, like, I had an internship, but it was sort of like a business internship. Now that I have like a real engineering research thermoacoustics internship in like a big industry, I really want to do well. I want to make connections in the industry so that when I leave, they're like, we have to hire her. So then I can like come back to Switzerland. Yeah. So I think that would be my goal. It's like to impress everyone, to do good work, and to make connections.
Solid goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second the organizing your life. I've been downloading a bunch of apps to like have one messenger, and I just cataloged in my email a bunch of like auto responses and like auto things that my emails do. Like, they're from certain people, they just immediately go to junk. Or like if they're meeting invites, I'll like have it auto accept certain ones and then like send me a text that I accepted it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna get me in trouble, but I think I'm really slick right now. So my career goal, like, I guess short term, is figuring out what I'm doing. I always like, I'm the person that posts on all the like engineer blogs we have on Facebook that like, I don't know what I'm doing with my lives, guys. And it's true. I'm like, I haven't seen my cat in 6 months. I don't know if she remembers me. So I'm gonna try to like figure out which long-term project I want to be on and travel a little bit less, and maybe travel a little bit more to other places I haven't been to. And then from there, I don't know, like, I could be a program manager, I could go back and get my PhD, I could do anything. So,
but that's the exciting thing. Like, sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say it's a fun position to be in.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I find that like there's this lie somewhere that spiraled out that we have to have everything figured out. Like in grade 11, when we apply to our career that we're going to have for the rest of our life, and then you have to know if you want to do a master's or a PhD. And it's kind of like, just like start somewhere and then like figure it out. Like, life is so long. You have your whole life to work and you have your whole life to study. Like, and I think that's the fun part. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, Andy, like you said. And especially, again, we talked about how versatile engineering is and like in so many different career paths. And particularly, again, like with civil and mechanical, it's just so broad. You can really take it anywhere. And essentially, it was very similar for me. I knew I wanted to somewhere end up in manufacturing. But again, starting these different internships. My first internship was a civil engineering job, like literally driving a truck, driving around grading streets. And I was like, oh my God, I have mad respect for the street builders and concrete, but like, this is not my cup of tea by any means. And so again, like I said, just going out there and learning. And so as a freshman, I was the only person who had an internship. So then that got me my internship with the Army because I didn't know anybody. And the fact that I just had some kind of experience, they were like, oh, of course. The fact that I had 3D design and like no other intern had it. So again, it just kind of continued to snowball and build into this to where essentially, again, I graduated with, 3 years of experience already that, again, no one could really compete with. Then I essentially created my own rotational program, which again was unheard of. Nobody had ever tried that. But again, I was like, oh, I'll try it for now and see how I like it. And, 3 months in, I was like, oh my God, I need to jump ship. But again, it's just that opportunity to learn and again, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. But yeah, I definitely don't think we all have to have it figured out. And I think, again, just being real enough and transparent enough to be open and honest about it takes real courage. So thank you, Miss Andy, for that. And again, just anyone else watching, again, whether or not you're STEM related or you're specifically focused on an engineering, again, try to gain experience or even talk to people that are doing the job that sounds interesting to you and kind of learn from them. Because again, at the end of the day, maybe that's going to be something that you're interested in for the next 6 months or maybe even a year, but continue to build and push yourself and continue to grow. And again, network, reach out, join different groups, follow different hashtags, put yourself in contact with wonderful people like I am, joining me here today. So by all means, again, it's just never ending. And yeah, definitely life is an adventure and definitely fun. I would have never thought engineering would take me, to Turkmenistan or Uzbekistan or Dubai. And it was just absolutely amazing to even go to those places.
Before you sign off, what is your goal for this year?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So one for me is actually, both of you ladies said it too, just get more organized. I feel like I'm such like a control freak in everything else, and which makes me such a good engineer, right? With manufacturing and processes and what goes when and where. But then in my life, it's just kind of like, I don't want to have to deal with it. To where the point, I like literally cleared out my email. I had my wisdom teeth pulled over the Christmas break. So I was literally going through like all 1,700 of my emails. And like you said, like, this is trash, always spam it. This is okay. I'll maybe want to read that newsletter every now and then. And again, just kind of like creating these filters and like getting my stuff together. I'm also like taking the jump into my business and like full-heartedly like joining like an accelerator program, which is like costs a pretty penny.
Awesome.
I know, costs a pretty penny to invest too. But again, it's just like, I can have, about certain finances I know I can cover, but the others is kind of like, oh, I don't know where it's going to come from, or this is so nervous and exciting. But again, just like taking that leap of faith, knowing I deserve it. And again, just setting these like really severe stretch goals. But again, just taking a chunk at a time, right? So even doing a live feed, I've been wanting to just like start featuring other women doing amazing things, particularly women engineers. So thank you, ladies, so much for making this possible. And I'll actually, if you guys want, jump in the comments and share where they can find your blog, Andy, or your YouTube channel, Miss Jess. So again, thank you so much, guys, for joining. Again, if you have questions after the fact, go ahead and drop them in. We'll definitely look forward to having more people for these interviews. And thank you again, Jess and Andy, for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful night.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
It was fun. Bye, guys.